Sure thing, yeah, yeah. My name's Jamie Beamish, and I'm an actor, and sometimes I'm a musician and a composer. And I've become recently, I suppose, I've been a bit of a playwright as well. So, jack of all trades, but master of none, as they say. Yeah.
Um, so what are some current projects that you're working on at the moment?
So at the moment, I'm rehearsing for Thai Show the musical. So
Yeah.
everyone knows the Late Late Thai Show, and but RD have decided in their craziness, I think, but wisdom as well, because it's great fun. But they're putting on a stage show of Thai Show. Like it's a musical, it's a new musical, so there's a new story and it's got new songs and everything. So like any good musical, it's got all that. So it's not just the Thai Show on stage. It's actually, there's a proper story to it and stuff like that. And I'm in it. I'm playing dad, and I also wrote the book for it. So saying to you, like, a musical will have a score, the lyrics and music, and also then the book, which is the script. So I'm the script writer on it as well. For me sins, because it's a busy show to be working on, and I'm up to my eyes, but it's great fun as well. And like, there's 34 kids, like I was saying, and it's crazy. There's a wall of noise when you come in some days, because the kids are between 5 and 13, and
Wow.
it's if you think Waterford Youth Arts is mental, this is crazy, but it's great. It's really really exciting. What we have as well, because it's a huge set. It's in the National Conference Centre, so it's like 2,000 seat theatre. It's huge, but there's a double revolve. Yeah, so the stage will actually revolve, but it's a
Wow.
double revolve. So it's what we call a donut. So there's an outer ring that revolves, and then an inner ring that revolves. So you can actually revolve different ways and everything. And we
Yeah.
actually have that in the rehearsal room. And I've worked on revolves before in different shows I've done over the years, but I've never had a revolve in the rehearsal room. It's amazing, So
That's
it's
so nice.
yeah, yeah. It's really really exciting. When you get to do things like
Wow.
that, it's always exciting. So that's what I'm at the moment. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Hmm.
Myself and Annabelle are both involved in Waterford Youth Arts. And we were wondering, what were you involved with theatre wise or arts wise when you were around our age?
So yeah, so when I started going on stage when I was about 16, so a little bit younger than ye, but not much. And so I was quite late to it, I suppose, because ye would have started, I'd say, a few years ago, did you? And I know maybe your
Yeah.
families are really into the arts and stuff. My family aren't. I don't come from a musical family. I don't come from a theatrical family or anything like that. There was never any kind of link there. And what it was when I was in school, I wanted to do technical drawing as my choice subject when I was in first year in Derry College, but there was too many people wanted to do it. So I ended up, drawing the short end of the stick, and I was told that I couldn't do technical drawing, so I had to do something else. And there was only kind of space in music. There was always desks for music, and I ended up in music. I was kind of going, oh, look, it'll be a DOS subject. I don't have any interest in music. I didn't really listen to music at the time. I didn't play any instruments or sing or anything like that. And I went into music, but the teacher, Brother Ben, was amazing. He was just such an inspirational teacher, and it's kind of an age old story, I think, with some of these kind of things. Where did you start? And it's from an inspirational teacher. And so he, like,
Nice.
his love of music, he kind of passed on to his students very much, and I certainly was one of them. And after that, then I used to sing in the choir in De La Salle, and then I went into the De La Salle College musical, and that was me being on stage, and that's when I got, like I say, I got bit by the bug, and it's never left me. Oh my God! I mean, God, the De La Salle College musical. I was 16, and I'm 46 now, so like that was 30 years ago. It's absolutely, yeah, next year it's 30 years ago. And it's mental, but it never left me. I did a concert in the Theatre Royal earlier this year, and that was to celebrate kind of being on stage for 30 years. And it's kind of mind blowing. But so when I was kind of, a little bit younger than you guys, that's what I was doing. I was doing musicals. I was doing the amateur musicals in Waterford, and by accident then, and I would say by accident because it really was. When I left Del Salle, I went to WIT to do a music degree, and as a summer job, I got taken on the summer job scheme with Red Kettle, And it was the first year of what became known as the Little Red Kettle Summer Schools Project, where we put together a play and put it on in Garter Lane, you know. So that was about in 1996. Was that one? It was Four Euclids of Squid and the Festival of Imagination and Wild Fancy, and it was Ben Hennessy and Liam Maher, who I know both of you know very well, and they like an amazing, two amazing men, like an inspirational as well as much as Brother Ben on the music side of things. These guys, in theater and stuff, like it was stuff I'd never seen or thought about before, and kind of led me to kind of even think differently about theatre and that. And they asked me to write some music. I was only a student helping out. I thought I'd be cleaning bins, to be honest. But they asked me to write some music for it because I was a music student, and I did. And that was the start of me writing music. And kind of from that, like I say, so around that time, as your age, I was doing musicals in the theatre aisle with the musical societies, and then working with Waterford Youth Arts. I used to work with Waterford Youth Arts doing sound and writing music and stuff as well. So I was getting a real, from all different aspects, I was getting a real kind of lesson in theatre. I was bathed in theatre all the time. And that's really what I was at then, around your age when I was 18 and 19 and stuff. And it was amazing. It was an amazing time. And there's so much going on, and there still is in Waterford. That's what's brilliant.
Mm, yeah, I think Annabelle is more interested in the musical theater thing.
Yeah.
That might be something you really want to pursue, I think.
I'm definitely big into musical theatre. That's one of the questions I wanted to ask is what would you say is the biggest difference between musical theatre and stage and screen? What would be the things you wouldn't expect really?
Oh, right. So just to get the question right, so are you saying what's the difference between being in musicals or being in TV and film?
Yeah, or going from both of them, kind of like back and forth.
Yeah. So, well, look, the big thing about like musical theatre and straight plays as well, or anything like kind of theatre in any kind of way like that, and TV and film is that when you're doing a play, when you're doing a musical, yeah, okay, you play a role in a play or a musical. When you go on stage at say 7:30, 8 o'clock that night, that's your story to tell. Now you spend your rehearsals, you put it together with all with the director and different people, and there's that collaboration at that time. But it's all about like the overall story, if that makes sense. So at 8 o'clock you kick off, and it finishes whatever 10 p.m., half time, whatever. If it's a long one, you hope it's not. Um, but that's your story to tell in that amount of time, yeah? When you're working on TV and film, you're capturing moments and moments and moments and moments. So you'll turn up on a day and you might have two scenes, three scenes to shoot, yeah, in one day. And you get on there and you shoot it and you go again, you do another take, you do another take, you do another take. And then someone at the end of that process will take all those takes and edit them together. So in a way, it's not, kind of you're not in control of that story in the way you are on stage. Does that makes sense? Because like by the time that TV show comes out or that film comes out, like there's an editor has come on, and different elements that you don't know about are are put on top of it. So what you see might be very different to what you experience when you're filming it in the first place. And you might have something in your
Yes.
head going, oh, this is what it'll look like. Oh yeah, wow. But then actually when you watch it, you go, oh God, okay, that's what they did with it. And as an actor, sometimes it can be, oh yeah, 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 I got it on take five. And then when you watch the thing, they're after using take two, and you're kind of go, why did he use that? I thought take five was much better. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's not in your control. But on stage, like I say, the curtain goes up. The minute you're on stage, that's your story to tell with the people you're telling it with in front of that audience. And you're doing it for that audience. And every show is different. And that for me is thrilling. Like, you know what I mean? The fact that, you're in that, you have that kind of control, but also you're having that conversation directly with the audience. On
Mm.
TV and film, it's very different because there's no audience either. There's the camera and everything, and like I say, you're capturing moments. And also when you think about it, you guys have done plays, and it starts at the start of the play, it ends at the end of the play. And most plays start at one point in time and end at the other. But when you're filming, mostly you're filming out of sequence. So you might be doing scene five first, and then you don't do scene one until the end of the shoot. Yeah, that happens a lot. It's shooting out of sequence, so it's a weird kind of brain thing as well. So for me, they're the big differences between being on stage and being and doing TV and film. And TV and film is something I feel like I wasn't very good at straight away. I had to learn how to do it. I had great grounding for the stage from Waterford back when I was your age, by working with Literary Kettle and working with the music societies and working with the Waterford Youth Arts and stuff. So, but TV and film, that was a big shock when I started doing that. I hadn't a clue. I was really green, and even though I think I did my first film when I was about 29, and it was a shock.
Yeah.
Okay.
With shooting out of sequence and in plays, is there anything you do kind of to stay in character? Because I suppose with plays it's mostly in chronological order. So, but if you're shooting out of sequence and like you might know something that you didn't know, is there anything that you do to keep that in mind?
Yeah, I mean, like the thing about filming is you must be prepared when you're there. Yeah, so the prep before you film, as if you have a character, nice part and stuff. If you're a day player, as we call it, say, if I went in for a day and I had one scene to do, now it might be a cool scene, but you're a day player, you're in there for one scene. But if you have a nice character with an arc, you need to have that all worked out in your head, because the great luxury of doing a play is that you have so many weeks rehearsals. Hopefully you'll have say God Macbeth we only had 3 weeks. It was very quick, say, and then with Thai show we have 6 weeks, but that actually is very quick because of the size of it. But generally you do have time. When you're filming, a lot of film directors don't like to rehearse until the day you're shooting it. So you literally come on set and you go, okay, what are we going to do here? And you'll sit and you'll chat, and it has to happen very quickly. So you have to be, really on it as to what's happening there, and realize where this scene is in the overall scheme of things. So, like you say, that's a really, really like good point, that you're playing something not before you find out about something. Yeah. So yeah. So you that scene 5, your mother has passed away. Yeah. But scene 1, she hasn't. So suddenly you have to jump in straight away into grief, and then later you don't have that. Like, so there's no building up to it. You have to be on it straight away. So it's all about the prep. It's all about knowing what it is, where it is. With a good director, they'll keep you on the right track as well. What we have on TV and film as well is what's called a script supervisor, which is a continuity person. And that they're amazing people. Oh my God, they have brains that I don't kind of fathom. I don't really get, because it's their job to know at what point they are in the script. And you can go to them and go, okay, but in the story, where is this? And they know, they're on it, they're grand. But also they know what you're wearing, they know how you look, because for continuity for various departments, they need to know what it was, and even from take to take, if that makes sense. So it happened to me one time where I was doing a take and someone said, stop, 2 takes ago you had your shirt tucked in. That's because I went off and had lunch, and I untucked my shirt and I came back, because I'm an idiot. And but the script supervisor, the continuity person, was on it, was just so on it. And I will say this, and I really mean it, is that most continuity people, most script supervisors are women. And that's with good reason, because you know what I mean, it's so obvious that just literally women can multitask much better than men, and hold so much more on the go, in the front of their mind, than men can. And that is given, that is accepted knowledge in the film industry. So it's funny, but even from day one with all that, it was the women were the best script supervisors. I mean, it's stunning. It's unbelievable. So there you are.
Great.
Yeah.
I was wondering, over the years, how much in Waterford, how much have you seen the art scene changing and evolving? What opportunities might there be now for actors and young actors that there weren't? What has evolved and How has it changed?
Um, I think, yeah, I think it has changed. It's changed in various ways, and it has been interesting because, like, say, I've been away for a long time. I live and work in London normally, and but I came back, during lockdown and that. So I was back in Waterford, and when things started opening again, I was working with the Theatre Royal as their artist in residence and stuff, and kind of being able to see all that is really interesting. I was still always involved in Waterford things, but it's been a bit more closely the past couple of years. So things have changed. Like in the arts, and specifically kind of the arts that kind of not affect, I don't mean affect, but I'd be involved in, say, what I've seen more so now is there's a lot more opportunities to film and work on things like that. Do you know what I mean? The kind of the visual media side of it, which is fascinating. But I think that's partly to do with how technology has democratized that. So since I started, suddenly everyone has a camera on their phone. You can shoot a short movie on your iPhone, yeah, which I think is completely brilliant. And I know, kind of say there's equipment that Waterford Youth Arts have and Little Kettle has and stuff like that, where that can be used. And I think that's kind of fascinating, you know. There's a great pity, like how it's changed in one way since I was younger to now, is that, say, there's no professional theatre company in Waterford anymore. So that is a pity. And that's not so much about opportunity, it's more about, I was able to go and see some of the best actors in Ireland, work with Red Kettle as was back in the day. And the opportunity for that is a bit less, but starting to come back, and there's things happening, as they go on, which I think is really important. And I think there's a change coming that way, which is really great. So that, like, you guys, in Waterford Youth Arts, getting to go and see really good theatre, you're starting to get to be able to do that again now, in places like the Theatre Royal and stuff like that. So I think that's the thing that, like, I think the change, what's interesting me, like I say, is the use of technology in that way. So filming, because I never filmed anything when I was in Waterford. Nothing. I was never involved in any kind of thing on screen. And now there are kind of opportunities for that now, and even documentary making and stuff like that, which I think is kind of fascinating, and all that. And I think the professional side of theatre is something that uh, not disappeared. That's the wrong word for it, but it kind of it wasn't as strong for a bit, but now I think it's starting. I think it's starting to change for the better. So I think the opportunities will now go that way, like, for the arts in Waterford, but the country as a whole, because, and I love Waterford and it's where I'm from and everything, but a lot of the stuff I learned was from going to London or from working away, being able to bring that back. And there's a lot to be said. I mean, I'm in Dublin, like, I'm kind of, yeah, I'll go anywhere they'll pay me rent, kind of thing. But I think kind of the great thing is to think outside the box. And if something that, like, Liam Maher and Ben Hennessy taught me is about that, and going away to learn. Because even back in my day, a lot of the people like Mary Bolan and people like that would have learned with Mockness in Dublin and different theatre companies like that. So I think it's brilliant, and Waterford's brilliant, but there's a big world out there, and we're as good as anyone. Us from Waterford, we're as good as anyone to even go out there and experience that as well, because I think that's super important too.
Mm.
So you mentioned going to college in London. So did you studied drama first in London, but you also went to college in Waterford as well?
I did, yeah, because I did a degree in music in WIT in the 90s. So when I finished school, I went straight to WIT, and I did 4 years of music there, and it was great grounding. I love music, like, and kind of create music and everything like that. It's a huge part of it, but it's really informed my career as an actor as well, which is mad. I was talking about this recently with the WIT students, because, say, I wanted to be a music teacher, and then I found I wasn't a very good teacher. So I said, "Oh, look, I'll go off and join the circus and become an actor instead." But I trained in musical theatre first. So when I went to London, it was to train actually in musicals. And I did that for a year and I came out and proceeded not to work for a year. I couldn't get arrested. And eventually I did get a job, and that's why I ended up staying on. But the reason my career is how it is now has as much to do with music as acting, because something happened to me. So I was doing musicals, yeah, and something happened to me then in about 2003. So I was in the business for about 3 years out of drama school by that stage, and I got invited to be part of the company at Regent's Park. The Open Air Theatre in Regent's Park in London is a very famous kind of open air venue and West End venue. And I had already done one musical with them, and they wanted me to be in another one in High Society. And at the time, there would be two Shakespeare plays and a musical. And so I was told I'd be dancing in the musical, grand singing, and then I'd be, as we say, a spear carrier in the Shakespeare's. I'd have no lines, but I'd be part of it, and I might understudy, and that's grand. I was thinking, great, amazing. God, I never thought I'd ever do Shakespeare. It'd be unreal. So I met the director of A Midsummer Night's Dream was one of the plays, and I met the director of Midsummer Night's Dream, and he said to me, do you play anything? I said, well, sure, I play a bit of guitar, but I have a degree in music, so I know music. And he went, oh, okay. So he got me to read some stuff. And one thing he said to me, because I read it in an English accent, and he said, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, you've been talking to me in this beautiful accent, and now you put on an English accent to read the lines. Why? And I said, oh, sure, it's Shakespeare. Isn't that what you do? And he said, no, God, no. No, do it in your own accent. So I did the lines in my own accent. He said, that was great. That was really great. And so instead of, like I say, carrying a spear, just being, kind of part of the ensemble of the show, I got a part. I got a nice part in Midsummer Night's Dream. I was playing flute in Midsummer Night's Dream. And that year I was nominated for Best Young Shakespearean Actor in England for that part. And it completely changed my career. Suddenly I was doing a play in the West End with Imelda Staunton. And even that play, I had to sing in it. And because I trained in WIT, I could sing classically, and I had to sing classically for this play. And that's why I got that play. And, and all these little things, it all kind of, it goes back a bit to the bit of music that I can play and the training that I've had. So I owe it an awful lot, me training in Waterford at WIT, because it's gone from there, and there's a real through line through everything. And even I haven't done musicals in years, like I say, but even in the plays, the Shakespeare plays I've done, and I did a big TV show called Will about Shakespeare actually, but I ended up writing songs for this big American TV show, again because I had that training behind me. So it was yeah, I'd have a very different career if I hadn't have done my degree in WIT. I owe it a lot.
Well, yeah. I was wondering how much of your parts, or when did you get an agent really, and how much do you owe a lot of your opportunities, do you think, to an agent, or did you manage to get work before having an agent?
No, I owe everything. I owe everything to a woman called Hannah Hodgkinson. Hannah was like my mom over here. Over here, I'm in Dublin at the moment. Sorry, over in London. And what it was So when you go to drama school, yeah, you build up to your showcase, your West End showcase, and we were building up to our West End showcase. Now there was 40 people in my year, and we all were on the stage of the Fortune Theatre in the West End, and there was a load of casting directors and agents watching. And back then you didn't, like, no one had email or anything like that. So after your showcase, you'd wait until you'd get a little slip in your pigeonhole in the canteen in college, and they would be like, agents would ring the school and they'd give them their number so you could contact them. And if there was nothing in your pigeonhole, it meant that there was no agents interested in you. So there was it was an awful time, because you'd be going checking your pigeonhole all the time. And I checked mine, and there was this woman had rung, and that they were interested in taking me on. And she was a very old woman. Her name was Elspeth Cochran, and she was Ian McKellen's first agent. Okay, so but that was like back in the 50s, the 1950s. But she was Ian's first agent, And now she wasn't Ian's agent anymore, you know, at all. But she kind of lived off the fact that she was originally Ian's agent. And I went in and I met her, and she was, oh, Christ, she was 80 if she was a day at the time. And she fell asleep, I think, a couple of times when I met her that day during the meeting. I mean, really, you couldn't write it. But her assistant was a woman called Hannah Hodgkinson, and Hannah was from Israel, and she's still going. God, I would say was, but no, she's still alive and well, and I talk to her all the time. But she ended up going out on her own, and she took me on, and I was with her. She was my agent for 14 years, and she's the reason I have the career I have, if it's anyone, because she stood by me and she pushed me and she helped me. And when I felt bad about myself as an actor, when I was feeling, because it's hard, you audition, you do all these auditions and you get rejected all the time, a lot of the time. You don't get all of them, it's as simple as that. And it's hard then to kind of pick yourself up and keep going. But when I didn't believe in myself, she always did. And she was brilliant. And I remember starting rehearsals for a play. I was doing The Beauty Queen of Linea, this Mark McDonagh play. And on the first day, the director said, Jamie, I had no interest in seeing you for an audition. And your agent bugged me and bugged me and bugged me. And eventually went, oh, God, just shut her up. Let's see this guy. And you walked in and you solved all our problems and you were brilliant, and that's why you got the job. So he said, you've got a brilliant agent there, because I would have hated if we hadn't met you, and I wasn't going to meet you. Listen, that, like, and I saw she was brilliant. So that's so that's why it's very, very hard to do it. It's certainly in London and in England without an agent, to be honest, at the level. And I'm lucky. I'm with a different agent now, because Hannah was winding down, and she kind of said you should move up now and get a better agent. And at the time, I was in a big play in London, and a big agent came to see me and approached me afterwards. So I'm with an agency called 42 now, and they're one of the best in town. I'm really, really lucky. They have huge clients, and I'd be a very small client by comparison to some of the people they have. But they're the reason, say, I'm in Bridgerton and stuff like that. That's they have those kind of contacts, that it's a different level, like, but like I say, I still talk to my old agent all the time, because she was amazing. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for how, like, young, upcoming actors, or actors trying to be actors, as you say, like, do you have any advice on getting an agent and working your way up like you did?
Well, there's two ways, you go to drama school and you have a showcase and an agent's come and see you. So that's kind of basic in itself. You know what I mean? You go and you train, and then you have a presentation at the end, and that's a way of doing it. The other way is to make your own work. Yeah, to have something that someone can see you in, because they're not going to take you, off the back of not knowing who you are or what you can do. And so to get into something is hard, because casting directors will go through agents. It's as simple as that. So unless there's some kind of open call, and sometimes there is, but not a lot. So, you kind of putting together your own thing, something that you can invite people to. Or the other thing is as well, film something, do a short movie, work on something like that. Like, an agent will look at a show reel as quick as anything, and probably quicker at times than they'll go out and go and see something. There's some great agents who will go and see everything. There's others then that might not so, but if you're able to send them a link to something, that's a possibility as well. And also then, trying to get work, don't be afraid of writing, do your research, find out who the casting director is at the Abbey, find out who the casting director, when you're watching a movie, when you're kind of, in the cinema watching a movie, and you go, God, that's a great movie, that's something like I'd love to be in, and you see who the casting director is, then you kind of go, great, okay, how do I contact them? And send it in and whatever, and like, not might happen straight away. 3 years down the line, they're going, oh my God, I need someone like Anabel, I need someone like Sadhbh, like, right, okay, great. Well, you just don't know. And it's always worth it. And I always say that, an email costs you nothing. And if you're kind of thinking, well, what do they want with me? Well, you know what I mean? You can't think like that. You have to kind of, and I learned that the hard way, and quite late on. I used to think going into auditions, they hated me. Every time I walk in, you're going, oh God, like, look at them, they hate me, they hate me. Actually,
Yeah.
I was told, and I've been on the other side of it now, watching auditions. And the thing is, all you hope is that the perfect person walks in. So every time you walk in, or you walk in, or I walk in, they're looking at you going, oh, please be brilliant. They're willing you to be good rather than going, oh God, what's going on here? And that's the thing. So it's always worth it to follow something through, to do your research, to do all that. Um, and, if you're passionate about it, if you really want to do it, it's not easy, but it's doable. My old friend Mick always said to me, Mick McQuinlan, he always said to me, Jesus, if you can do it, anyone can. Thanks very much. But no, it's true. I'm from Waterford. I'm from Congress Place. Like, you know what I mean? And like I say, no theatricals in my family, nothing like that. And it's just that. It's hard work, you know what I mean? And it's perseverance. And that's another thing, stick with it. Like, as in, you persevere, you persevere, you persevere, and you hold your nerve, because it's hard, when you're getting told no all the time, or, and sometimes you see your friends doing really well, and that's, you're delighted for them, but that's tough too, because you're kind of going, oh, I wish it was me. And that's a very natural feeling, So yeah, it's worth it.
So over the years, do you have a favorite part or play or project that you've been involved in?
So I suppose I did a play in 2006, um, called The Flags, and that play was actually on in Garter Lane there recently. There was a company did it, but I did the very first ever production of it in Manchester at the Manchester Royal Exchange, and it's the first time I felt like a really good actor. You know what I mean? I I knew I could do it, like, and I knew it could go on, but it was the first time I was on stage going, like, I'm on top of all of this, and I was getting lost in it in a way that I never had before. Do you know? It was just so brilliant. The script was so brilliant. It was a brilliant part, and I loved every second of it. And I was just buzzing to get on there and do it. And it wasn't a big production. Like, we did it in the studio in Manchester Royal Exchange, and then it went to Dublin, and there was only 4 people in it. One of the people actually was Siobhan McSweeney, who's Sister Michael in Derry Girls. So like, Siobhan's an old friend of mine, because that was her very first time ever on stage in England. And
Is that
so
play about lifeguards on a beach?
that's the one.
Yeah,
That's right.
I-
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
it.
Did you go and see it when it was on, when
Bridgerton.
Jenny did it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was-
Yeah, I did that play. Like, I was in the original cast of that play. I
Wow.
played the young lifeguard, Howie.
Yeah.
I'm too old for it now. But and I remember getting the script of that play. I was in a dressing room in China doing it. I was over on tour with a Shakespeare in China, and my agent sends me this script, and I read it and go, oh my God, this is amazing. I like just going, oh God, this is terrific. And I remember kind of going for the audition, going, I really hope I get this. It was one of those things when I got the call to say, yeah, it's an offer. I was punching the air. I was walking down Leicester Square, punching the air, and kind of going, yeah, I can't wait to do this. And I went up to
Right.
Manchester and had a ball. Like, yeah. So there's loads of highlights, and there's lots of highlights since then as well. And, like, working on big TV and big movies. I did a Star Wars movie and all that. But that little play meant so much to me. It really, really did. And I don't know if I've ever been better since then. It's something I really feel like I kind of go, God, I got close to that. I don't think you ever get it, but I got really close with that one, yeah.
And a quick question on that. So you've been to China with a play. Is there any other
Yeah.
like big places you've been? Because that's really
Oh
cool.
yeah,
We went to
yeah,
Belfast,
yeah.
and that was like mind blowing.
Belfast's cool, yeah, but Belfast
Yeah.
is cool. I've been to Belfast. I played Belfast. It's magic, isn't it? It's what a great city. It's great to travel, though, isn't it? It's great to kind of
Yeah.
go away with something. And I think you were saying about meeting new people and people, from the arts from a different place. It's really awesome, like, and it's great. But also then to kind of this work that you've created, where you've created it, and then to put it on somewhere else, it's magic. Yeah, I've been lucky to kind of go around the world a bit. So God, Little Red Kettle went to Japan in 2000, you know, a long time ago. Myself and Liam and Ben and Mary, and we brought 20 kids to Japan to the World Children's Theatre Festival, and that was fairly special. I've worked in China, Spain, Germany, and I've worked in New York. God, that was a huge, huge, big deal for me. I always wanted to work in New York, and we brought a play to New York, and that was mind blowing. Like, you know, I've worked in Canada and Budapest, and yeah, all over. And that's the lovely. That's it's a nice part of the job in that way, because they actually, you know, and it's not a paid holiday because you're working, like, you know. But last summer I was in Calgary in Canada, and filming a western, and I'm kind of pinching myself, going, God, I'm dressed as a cowboy riding a horse and cart, and, like, you know, being flown over and put up and that, and they don't, like, those gigs don't come around often, but when they do, it's really nice. So yeah, so I, like I say, I've been lucky. I've seen a little bit of the world with with work, you know. So yeah, tick tick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's amazing.
do you think, do you have any advice for like your younger self or someone in a similar place that you were? Like as an actor now, what advice do you think you would give a younger?
Oh, and yeah, I say it again, hold your nerve. It's going to be okay, you know, because actually back then I didn't know that. I really didn't know that. I like when that
Mm,
first year when I came out of drama school, it was pretty devastating, because I thought, you know, because I was a big fish in a small pond in Waterford. I was playing big leads in musicals and all that, and I went to drama school, and I did all right at drama school. I kind of, you know, I felt like I was pretty good, you know what I mean? And I like, you know, I had a talent, and that, like, and they were very, you know, complimentary of me in drama school. And then when I came out of drama school, I thought I'd like walk into Les Mis and Miss Saigon and whatever, like, you know, those big shows, and I, like, you know, that'd be it. Then I'd be in the scene, I'd be in the crowd, I'd be doing it. And I came out and I didn't work for over a year, and it was so hard. It was really hard, and working, you know, useless jobs. I used to sell programs at the Lion King. And I'd be there watching. If I saw the Circle of Life again, I think I'll shoot someone. But it was uh, it was a mad time, and I was living at the time with Andrew Holden, who's an actor from Waterford, and me and Andrew are old school friends. And we had a flat in East London. It was a manky old place full of mice. And actually, the guy who owned it was, you know, an exterminator. Like, he was in pest control, and yet the flat he was renting us was full of mice. Like, it was, you know, you couldn't write it. And yeah, and it was crazy, and we couldn't get, like I said, we couldn't get arrested. And I remember at the time just kind of go, maybe I should just give up, like, maybe I should just go home. And there's times when I think like that, like, over the years, you know, because it does get hard, and you get very close to something that you think is going to change your life, and then suddenly it doesn't happen, someone else gets it. But that's what I'd say to my younger self, and to young kind of actors and whatever, is hold your nerve, because it'll be all right, you know. Because once you believe in it, and it's hard to believe in yourself, but even if there's a bit of self-belief there, but the main thing is if there's positivity there, because that's what the business will beat out of you, is positivity, because there's a lot of negativity. But if you hold on to your own positivity, that will only serve you, you know. And it'll mean that when something good happens, you're ready for it, you know. And also the expectation is that something good can happen. Yeah. And I always say that, tomorrow your life changes. I could, like I was in a rehearsal room in when was it, June? Yeah. So I'm in a rehearsal room in June. I get a text from my agent saying, you've had an offer come in for Thai Show the musical. And I went, what? Thai, they're making a musical, a Thai show. Get out of it. That's not going to happen. And here I am in rehearsals, you know, in it. And I'm after writing the script for it now as well. And it's like this mental adventure I'm suddenly on. And the day before I got that email, I wasn't on it, you know. But actually, yeah, the next day. So tomorrow, I might get a call with a big movie. Probably not, but like, you know, I kind of wake up in the morning going, well, the sun is up. I know I'm awake, and yeah, yeah. Hopefully, if something cool happens, something cool happens. But the thing is, something cool could happen, and that's the great thing. And if I stop being an actor, if I came out of the arts or anything like that, it's not going to happen. So that's why I talk about positivity, because I think if you if you think positively, if you live positively as much as possible, because it is hard. I don't, you know, I'm not gainsaying it, but is that you make positive decisions which will lead to positive outcomes. And so yeah, so that I always kind of think like that, you know.
Do you have any sort of bucket list roles or things that you want to do, like in a perfect world?
Yeah,
To do
yeah,
with
God,
acting, not
yeah.
just like go skydiving.
Oh no, 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 yeah, yeah. Actually, do you know what? I'm useless at acting like that. Kind of going, oh, I want to skydive. Oh, God, I barely go on holiday. You know what I mean? I kind of go, you know, once the adventures I go on are, you know, on stage or in front of the camera. I think. But no, yeah, oh God, parrots, yeah, in a big way. I'd love to play Sweeney Todd. You know the musical Sweeney Todd,
Yes.
Stephen Sondheim musical, yeah. And I die to play that part. It's kind of going. It's that's a bucket list thing. And I swear to God, I'm going to get to a point. I'm going to get to an age. In fairness to Sweeney, he can be kind of nearly up to 60. So you know, I think I've got a few years left. And if by that stage I've not been cast as that part, I'm putting it on myself so I can play it. You know, because it's a masterpiece and it's a stunning part, and I'd love someday to get a chance to act it and sing it and that, you know. um and yeah, and that's kind of it really. People ask me that, and kind of, and it's a funny one, that's the only one that ever kind of really comes to mind straight away, that I'd love to do that, you know. There's playwrights I'd love to work with, Conor McPherson and people like that, you know. I'd love to do another Martin McDonagh play. But if it's bucket list we're talking about, it's definitely Sweeney Todd. And TV and film wise, oh look, there's tons of directors. You kind of go, God, imagine I work with Steven Spielberg. I never did. But on my bucket list was to work with Liam Neeson, right? And I tell you why. Because Liam Neeson's mum is from Waterford, right? This is true, and she grew up on Congress Place, you know, where I'm from, like, yeah. And his auntie Betty used to own the corner shop on Congress Place. And years ago, when I was leaving for London, and or I was getting involved in theatre, like you guys, I'd go into the corner shop and I'd say hello to Betty, and then she'd be asking me, "What are you up to now?" And I'd say, "I'm doing this play or whatever. I'm doing this musical." I said, "Oh God, someday you'll be like our Liam." And I said, "Who's your Liam?" She said, "Liam Neeson." I said, "What?" She said, "Liam Neeson. He's my nephew." And I'm, "What? What?" And so she brought me in. She brought me into her living room, and she showed me a picture of Liam Neeson on the beach in Tremor as a teenager. I was, you know, it's kind of amazing, mental. And it turned out, yeah, he's like his. There's a whole side of his family that's from Waterford, and he has great links with Waterford. He used to come to Waterford as a teenager, and I always kind of went, oh, I'd love to meet him, to be able to say that, do you know what I mean, and have that kind of connection with him.
Yeah.
And in 2016, I did a movie with him. You know, I did a movie called The Commuter, and on the first day I was pretty shy, and it's Liam Neeson, like, you know, and it's set on a train, so we're all on this train carriage. But I had no lines in this little bit that we were doing. I was just sitting behind him, and so for all he knew, I could have been an extra. There was 100 extras on the set that day. But then the next day, then a couple of bits, and I was chatting to a couple of people. And at the end of the day, I remember really well. I gave the prop man my bag, and I said, "Thanks very much. That's great. I'll see you tomorrow now. Yeah, great. Looking forward to it." And Liam heard me, and Liam Neeson, like, and he said, "Jamie, where are you from?" And I kind of went, "Oh God." I said, I'm from Waterford, Liam." And he said, "God," he said, I know Waterford very well." I said, "I know, Liam. I'm from Congress Place." And he said, "God, I know Congress Place very well." I said, "I know, Liam. Your Auntie Betty owned me corner shop, like, yeah." And he started laughing. And myself and himself, we came off the set then, the two of us, and for about an hour I stood there chatting with Liam Neeson about Waterford, and it was absolutely amazing. He was such a lovely guy, such a nice guy, telling me stories about his grandfather, about his grandmother, and he was describing Congress Place to me, and I was laughing, going in my head, going, "I know, I live there," like, you know. Like, it was immense, and that was a real bucket list thing that came true. And I remember, like, and that's the lovely thing again, like things like that, your dreams come true.
Yeah.
Tomorrow your life changes. That's the great luck of it, like, you know what I mean. I pinch myself at times.
Great. Thank you so much. We have one question left, which is, we were wondering,
All right, yeah.
you ever work on accents yourself? or is that something that you think is important? And if so, what will be in your accent repertoire?
Oh, accents. Wow, that's an
Yeah.
interesting one, isn't it? Yeah. No, I do. I mean, I do a lot of accents. I like to think it's because I have a bit of a musical ear, so that helps, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, and like accents are a funny one because sometimes, um, you look at something and kind of go, right, that should be in this accent. Now, if it's set somewhere, it should be set somewhere, like fine. But if you're talking things like Shakespeare, like I was saying about that director saying to me, "Oh, do it in your own accent. I want to hear it in your own accent." And from that day, I mostly, with the exception of two roles, I've done Shakespeare in my own accent. At the Royal Shakespeare Company, I did it in my own accent. At the Globe, Shakespeare's Globe, did it in my own accent. And it's wonderful. It's great. So I always think of Shakespeare like that you don't have to do it in some kind of posh English accent or anything like that. You really don't. For other stuff, then though, it has to be because when you think of Bridgerton, okay, like that's set in England, Regency England, like and stuff, and you kind of go, well, that has to be English. It's as simple as that. I'm not playing an Irish character, and like I take it as a great compliment. When I auditioned for Bridgerton, it was a self tape. So like this, you know what I mean? You see in the square box, and I do my lines, you know what I mean? Hello, I'm Nigel Burbrook, whatever, grand. And I sent in my tape, and then I got a straight offer. So I didn't meet the director, I didn't meet the producer, anyone. And I went in to do the first read through of the first couple of episodes of Bridgerton. And I remember I was so nervous. And there's all these amazing actors there, and they're all English, like except for Nicola Coughlan, she's from Ireland as well, from Derry Girls. But like the producer and director comes up to me, and they go, "Oh, Jamie, oh my God, we heard, your tape was so amazing, and we were sending it around, and everyone in the office really loved your tape. It was great. Oh, it was so great, so great." I said, "Oh, thanks very much. Thanks for having me. I'm delighted to be here. Oh, stop!" Like, and they're looking at me going, "Where are you from?" Because they didn't know I was Irish, and I was thinking, "Oh God, I'm going to get sacked. I'm actually going to get sacked from this." But it was okay in the end. So what was great was they thought I was English, and actually a few people since Bridgerton came out and it kind of hit as big as it did. It's fascinating when if people recognize me and then they hear my accent and they kind of go, What?" And even the Irish media, when it came out, you could see the penny dropping along the way, and suddenly I was getting calls to do interviews and different things because they realized, oh Christ, one of our own is in it. Like, yeah, that's not Nicola. I say Nicola might be busy, so I'd always get Nicola's sloppy seconds, interview wise, where anyone she wouldn't do, I'd end up doing maybe or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So different accents, and I tell you, a real thing for Irish actors. So anyone watching this is that Irish actors are really good at doing American accents. If you watch English actors find it a lot harder. It's really interesting. And the best American accents by actors that are not from America are Irish actors. I promise you that. And it's all to do with how we speak. Yeah. And in England, what they don't have is a rhotic R, as we say. Yeah. So the way we say far, yeah, far away, in
Yeah.
England it's far, car, right? But in America, it's car. So you still have that R, yeah?
Yeah.
Far, yeah? And that's why it's, you know what I mean? We just have it on our ear to do American accents. So I've done American a lot as well, which is great fun because, it can be a cool accent to do as well. My bête noire, as we say, the thing that kills me, there's two accents I generally won't do if they come up and they ask me to do it, and that's Australian and Welsh. I find Welsh really hard. I went out with a Welsh girl for about 3 years, and I still can't do it. And she's a great friend of mine still, and she'll really take the piss out of me if she heard me doing a Welsh accent. And for some reason, I think if I worked on it, I could do Australian, but it's something that I'm slightly scared of because I think I did a bad one once upon a time, and I sounded Indian, and that didn't go down very well, So, but yeah, but no, accents are fun. But that's what it is, though. It's like you dress up for a living, so you try and be someone you're not. Yeah. So changing accents, changing hair. God, you know, I have different haircuts, and got Macbeth had a big beard and stuff, and you know, kind of, I like to look different in everything I do. So I like to think that I don't look the same in Bridgerton as I do in Derry Girls or Love Rosie or acting like that. And when I go on stage, I kind of, you know, kind of try and make a difference. So anytime I get recognized, which happens a little bit, I get a surprise. You know what I mean? And it's a nice surprise. You know, people are very nice and very kind. But I always kind of go, right, how did you recognize me? What's the story? But some fans are fans, and fans, like someone said to me that I couldn't believe, and I had a big beard, that he recognized me from Bridgerton. And he said, "Oh, I watch Bridgerton very closely." And I went, "Okay, yeah, fair enough. This guy has it on repeat, like, or whatever." So yeah,
I think I
it's
shouted
cool.
at you at the street once. I was like,
You
Jamie Beamish!
did. Oh, you were so sweet. That was, oh no, you made my day. That was
And also,
ghastly.
that's what my mum said when I took a picture with you after Just a Girl, and
Yeah.
my mum was like, he looks nothing like the one from Derry Girls. And I
Oh, great.
had
Yeah, I
the
like that.
pictures side by side, and she was like, wow, hair, makeup, costume, so great. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Like, you know. So yeah. So like, and accents are the same like that as well. Funny enough, with Derry Girls, when they asked me to do that part, I thought it was going to be a Derry accent. So I went to the read through, did me Derry accent, and fine, I can do a Derry accent. And I went up then to film up to Belfast to film it, and I met the writer for a drink the night before, Lisa, and she came in and she said, "Oh, Jamie, did you get the email?" I said, "What email?" And she said, "Oh, we want you to do your own accent, not the accent, because it'll be funnier, because Tommy Tiernan's doing his own accent as well. So, like, you know, the two sisters, both their partners are from the south, so that'll be good crack. Like, is that okay?" I said, "Oh, right, okay." And then she said, "Do you want a pint?" I said, No, I have to go. I have to relearn all my lines, because I'd learned them all in a Derry accent. And then, like, you know, I had to go and switch my brain around to kind of go, oh God, I have to do it in a Waterford accent now, or my own, like, whatever. And it was mad. And there was one line I remember really well, because what's the bit in Derry Girls? It's all that, have you got your wee docket there? You know, it's wee red slip of paper about yay big. Yeah, and that's the line, about yay big. That wasn't the line though in the script. The script was, because it was in a Derry accent, you know, have you got your wee docket there? It's a wee red slip of paper about Dawn size. And Dawn size is a real Northern Irish term, yeah? About that size. About Dawn size. And so I said, "Oh God, not in this accent, Lisa. You'll never get it. Like, you'd never say that." And she went, "Okay, what would you say?" I said, "Let's go for a take, and like, I'll just, whatever comes out, it might be all right. How about that?" She said, "Great, no bother." So there, you know, yeah. Have you got your wee docket there? It's a wee red slip of paper, about yay big. So said that, and behind the camera, I just saw this thumb going up like this, going, you know. So I was all right, yeah. So so that was funny. So I wrote one word of Derry Girls. Let's put it that way, yeah.
Woo.
Wow.
I know. Whoa, mind blowing. Yeah. Stop the presses.
Well,
Thank you.
thanks so much, Jamie. This was really good.
This was lovely.
Yeah,
Not
lovely.
at all, not at all. I really enjoyed it, girls. And any time. And best of luck to everyone out there. And you know, anyone who wants to give it a go should. It's the
Yeah.
best job in the world and the worst job in the world at the same
Yeah.
time. But it's mostly the best. You know.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Deadly.
Thank you so
Great stuff.
much.
See ya.
Bye.